Now what I didn't mention is that I edited 3 videos of these, and I edited them in chronological order as when it happened. The issue with that is that because I was doing the project in 4 weeks, I was doing a lot of tasks overlapping one another. So at one point I was working on the panels, and then I was working on the legs, and then I think I started the doors before I started the panels before any of this. So I was doing it in that order, and it was just, I watched the videos back and it was just like, this makes absolutely no sense. So I had to scrap all of them and start again. So the project's all finished now, and I've basically put it into categories. So the reason I'm saying this is you'll see certain points in this where I've done a process in the previous video, but then you won't see it in this. Like here, you'll see I'm missing that fat lipping at the top. And just now you may have seen that the legs didn't have the curves cut in them. So it becomes especially confusing when you get to the drawers and doors episode, I think, because it's just, there's stuff all going on in the background and it'll just make no sense. If you watch them in order, it will make sense. If you don't, good luck to you. Oh, this is the V-groove that I mentioned at the start of it. So this is the shadow gap. So that lipping that I'm playing with now was meant to go under the veneer, and the V-groove was meant to be between that lipping and the fat lipping, but because of a major cock-up, it wasn't. But that is the shadow gap there, and it just creates a nice shadow gap around the front of the cabinet where the doors are, and it mimics it around all of the edges. So it's a nice little detail that doesn't go amiss in the final product. So I made a few of these little test blocks that, or not test blocks, they could be test blocks, but they're also just there for various reasons. And this was me placing the biscuit locations for the middle shelf above the drawers. So to do that, I cut a spacer that was the exact same height as the drawers, and then using the base of the biscuiter, I could reference off that and plunge that into the side of the cabinet. That's a very nerve-wracking job, because it's not like you can hide it in the edge of something if you put it in the wrong place. It is into the veneer, so it's not great. And there's the second block. So that one was referenced off the bed of the biscuiter rather than the base of the biscuiter rather than the bed. It's confusing stuff. It can be quite confusing, but those 2 blocks are different. And one other feature of this cabinet is that it includes adjustable shelving. So there I was just marking the offset from the edge, and here I'm marking a 30mm spacing between each of the shelves, so about 1.25 inches. For you Americans and old timers here in the UK. This is the new pillar drill we got at Rycotewood, and it is awesome. It's like, I don't know, it's like something from I don't know, like a steampunk alien ship. It's really weird. But yeah, it's drilling all the holes in place. And here's the glue up. So I did these in 2 frames. So I did the side frames to start with, and then I could sandwich that around the middle part once it was all done. So it just breaks down the process a little bit, takes some of the stress out. I say that, I almost glued this on backwards, so I had the adjustable shelves and biscuits facing on the outside, because obviously those legs curve outwards, so I almost stuck the middle panel the wrong way, which would have been an absolute disaster. But look at that, it almost looks CNC, doesn't it? Almost. But there's the result, all done. So you've got the outside face on the left there, inside face on the right. And now I can start thinking about jointing the inside components. So in this case, this is the top. So I put some biscuits on the edge, and that would allow me to join it to the sides. And then the middle shelf, I'm using the base of the biscuiter rather than the bed. And this was because I referenced off the base when I was using that drawer spacer a few minutes ago. It's just one to look out for when you're using biscuit jointers, because it can make things misaligned. Now to cut the 2 biscuits, or the 2 sets of biscuits for either side of the drawer dividers, I cut a drawer that was the exact same, or spacer that was the same width as the drawer, sorry, and using the base of the biscuiter I could reference that. Now as I said, it's very easy to cock up, and here it is. using the base you cannot use on components that are less than 10mm thick because it would break through the edge. So I had to use it with the bed down in order to get it central on those uprights, and then mark the offset that I needed to move the spacer across either way. Anyway, look, you can see there those little patches that I've put in place. So they're not entirely visible because it's under the drawer carcass, but it's a little bit annoying. So that's one to look out for when you're doing things like this. The reason it caught me out was because I thicknessed the drawer spacers down to 10mm from 15. This was because of the relief on the dividers above. It made those dividers look like 10mm when they're actually 15. So it was just one of the spur of the moment thought, and then it came back and haunted me later on. But here you go, it's all going together. I put a little bit of wax in there first, which would help the drawers slide, and also that squeeze out in there makes it so much easier to clean it out once it's if it's lubricated with wax first, just peels straight off. So that's a nice little trick, and yeah, it just makes the drawers move a little bit easier as well. And those clamps, those blocks of wood I'm using there, those were actually slightly bowed upwards. So what happens is when you clamp either side, it's touching in the middle first, so it provides pressure there first and then the edges, so you get an even pressure in the middle and the edges. So here I'm marking out the locations for the screw holes to go into the back of the middle horizontal, so the horizontal above the drawers. This is a nice even spacing to make it look good from the back. Flush trim the front lipping down on the front of the drawers to get it to match the curve, and then I could glue the lower and middle dividers to the back panel. So it's worth noting here, you see I've got biscuits on the bottom one there, and then I'm relying on screws to close the joint above that. So with that all fixed on the bottom, I could then plane the relief for the door, which was on these dividers up here. You can see in the diagram. So I'm planing that relief in, and that was the reason I put an extra thick lipping on that, so that I wouldn't expose plywood below it. And then I just did a small angle on the front edge to help match the angle, or help match the radius on the front of the cabinet. Now getting those dividers in place. This was satisfying. This was very satisfying. It's like clicked into place. It was so nice. Get the old Bessies on it. And then again, using screws, that would help pull the uprights into the back panel and get rid of all the shadow gaps at the back. So it's all nice and crisp, get everything flush. And then once that was dried, I could sandwich the two outside frames around that internal carcass. Now this was very heavy, very heavy. It's good job we had lots of points to grab onto. So watch it just drop into place. Oh yeah, lovely. So then get the frame on the opposite side. Again, wrench the Bessies around it, so this would hold everything in place, and then we'd try getting it on its feet, which was no mean feat. It was very heavy, and obviously clamps add to the weight of this as well, so it made a quite a good thud when it hit the ground. There you go. You see the rough shape of the cabinet. Look how wobbly it is. I really didn't compensate for how heavy it would be at the top and how spindly the legs would be, especially with the weight of these added clamps. But anyway, there you go. that's pretty much the cabinet all there. So next week I am focusing on the doors. So we'll see all those go together, and yeah, see you then.